I tested the best budget cameras for YouTube, and I found the best camera for one person's YouTube channel might be completely different than the perfect camera for someone else. Because if you don't know some very specific things to look for, you might end up with a camera that works great for someone else, but might be a terrible choice for you. Which is why I made this video, to show you the best affordable cameras for YouTube, specifically for your budget and your videos. The first camera on this list is the most popular YouTube camera out there, and that's the Canon M50 Mark II. But we also have the brand new big brother to this camera, the R50, which is even better. By the way, the links for the best pricing on all of the cameras we talk about today, I'll leave in the description down below. Both cameras are small and compact, making them perfect for vlogging or filming in a studio. The button and menu layout is simple and straightforward. Plus, both cameras have a side articulating screen so you can see yourself, along with touch autofocus using those back screens. However, the autofocus on the R50 is significantly better than the autofocus on the M50. Both cameras have a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor along with phenomenal Canon colors, so your footage looks beautiful right out of the camera without any editing. And people especially look really attractive because Canon cameras handle skin tones really well. But there are no cinema profiles in either of these cameras for advanced color grading. You really just have the colors that are in camera. But here's where the major differences between the Canon R50 and the M50 become apparent. The Canon R50 shoots at 4K, 24 and 30 frames per second in 10-bit color, but it's not just regular 4K. It's 4K upsampled from 6K, which means you get the quality of 6K, but in a smaller 4K file. The M50 is a great YouTube camera, but it only shoots 4K with a crop on your sensor which zooms into your image, and it only shoots at 24 frames per second with 8-bit color. But in full HD, the two cameras are much closer at 24, 30 and 60 frames per second available on both cameras, but the R50 also can shoot 120 frames per second in full HD for 5x slow motion. Also, when it comes to photos, the two cameras are again very close. The R50 shoots at 12 frames per second and the M50 shoots at 10 frames per second, and both cameras are perfectly fine for YouTube thumbnails. The Canon M50 is $100 cheaper, and I expect that price to drop even further, but the R50 definitely has better features and better video quality. So who are these cameras right for? The M50 is a much more affordable camera, and the lenses for the M50 are also much less expensive. I don't recommend the M50 to someone who needs the best 4K quality out there. But if your budget isn't too much of a concern and you want the best 4K quality possible, the R50 is definitely the way to go. However, there is one camera that's even better for YouTubers and content creators because it was designed from the ground up specifically with those people in mind. And it also has a few unique features that are perfect for YouTubers always on the go, and especially vloggers, and that's the Nikon Z30. Right off the bat, you'll notice the design because it's perfectly designed specifically for creators. It has a flat top so you can easily mount a microphone, but it also has dual internal microphones to deliver stellar audio, so you can actually skip using an external microphone with the Z30 if you wanted to. And it also has a flip screen so you can see yourself, and that flip screen also has touch autofocus. The button layout and design of this camera is very straightforward. It's easy to just pick up this camera and get great results. However, one thing that I love about the Z30 is that it also has a nice deep grip, which feels more like a DSLR in your hands, but it also makes it easier for vlogging and keeping this camera stable during handheld footage. One feature that makes the Z30 perfect for content creators is that you can also get a vlogging handle that doubles as a tripod, so you can set this camera down anywhere and shoot at any time. And it also has a Bluetooth remote to wirelessly control your camera. And the kit lens that the Z30 comes with is absolutely awesome. Probably one of the best kit lenses I've ever used. It's sharp and produces great results, but it also has vibration reduction built right into the sensor for smooth handheld. In terms of specs, the Z30 has a 20 megapixel APS-C size sensor, which might seem like it's low resolution, but by using a lower megapixel sensor, the Z30 is actually much better in low light conditions, which makes it easier to get vlogging shots and travel shots when you're dealing with challenging lighting conditions. And video is where things get interesting. It shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second in 8-bit color, and the in-camera colors are actually quite vibrant. But the video is not upsampled from 6K, so it's just regular native 4K. And the slow motion options in Z30 are also pretty great. It does full HD at 60 and 120 frames per second. But one thing to note is that the Z30 also doesn't have cinema profiles for advanced color grading. There is a flat profile. However, I really do recommend just sticking to the normal in-camera colors with the Z30 because it's also an 8-bit color camera. So who would the Z30 really be for? The Z30 is a complete package if you grab it with the vlogging handle and the Bluetooth wireless remote. This way you can set up and start shooting anytime, anywhere. If you want to make on-the-go vlogs, on-the-go YouTube videos, this is the perfect camera for you. But I wouldn't really recommend it for someone that wants to shoot something a bit more cinematic, a bit more pretty, a bit more high-end YouTube. If you're someone that wants to create serious YouTube content, then you need a serious camera. In that case, I recommend looking into the Sony ZV-E10 because it has a few features that you only find in professional cameras, but at a much more affordable price. The ZV-E10 has one of the smallest bodies of any cameras out there. It can easily fit into a purse or a jacket pocket, making it perfect for vlogging and travel. The button layout is ultra minimal. It only has one switch to go between photo, videos, and slow motion, and has two separate record buttons for photos and videos, and that's it. There's no mode dial, no fancy bells or whistles. It just keeps everything minimal and straightforward. But it does have a side articulating screen so you can see yourself, and the autofocus in the Z30 is absolutely phenomenal. And the internal audio mics are really good, and they're perfect for vlogging and walking and talking shots. But video is where the ZV-E10 really starts to feel like a pro camera. It does 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second in 8-bit color, but it's actually 6K downsampled or oversampled into 4K, so you get 4K with the quality and detail of 6K. Also, in Full HD mode, it shoots 60 and 120 frames per second for 5x slow motion. What makes the ZV-E10 special and much closer to a professional camera is that it also has cinema profiles built right in. It has S-Log and HLG color for advanced color grading, so you could take your ZV-E10 image, really apply a cinematic color grade, and really turn it into a professional looking YouTube video. The ZV-E10 also shoots 10 frames per second when it comes to photos, and this is perfect for thumbnails and social media photos. One thing that I love about the ZV-E10 and Sony cameras in general is that there's a really wide variety of lenses available for Sony cameras, but also a really wide variety of lenses from third-party manufacturers. So you can always get affordable and cheap lenses, but also a really wide variety of lenses for Sony cameras in general. So who would the ZV-E10 be perfect for? The ZV-E10 is a great choice for someone who's on a budget, but they really want a pro camera because the ZV-E10 is the closest thing to a pro YouTube camera on a budget. It has the specs and features that you would want in a pro camera, but at a much more affordable price point. However, you might be wondering, what is the best YouTube camera that doesn't cut any corners, but still stays on a budget? And that camera, without a doubt, has to be the Canon R10 because it takes everything that you need in a YouTube camera, but also adds a few features that you haven't seen on any other camera on this list. The Canon R10 has a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, which is the same resolution as the Canon M50 and Canon R50, but it has a better processor, which allows it to have more powerful features. The Canon R10 shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second, but similar to the Canon R50, it's also upsampled from 6K, so you really get the quality of 6K, but in a 4K package. The one really interesting thing that the Canon R10 does is that it allows you to shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, although there is a zoom/crop into your image when you go to 4K 60, but it's a pretty rare feature to see on a budget camera like this. It also has slow motion at Full HD at 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second, but that's a feature that is also available on the other cameras on this list. Plus, the autofocus is accurate and reliable and will satisfy even the most demanding of users. One thing that I should mention is that the Canon R10 does not have C-Log or cinema profiles built into it, so you're mainly going to be either using the flat profile, but it is 10-bit color, so you should still get a lot more flexibility in your colors compared to an 8-bit camera. And the photo specs are definitely overkill for YouTube. It does 12 frames in mechanical mode and 30 frames per second electronic shutter mode, but having a good photo camera, even if it's for thumbnails, is always useful, especially if you're a serious YouTuber. Body-wise, it's the exact same camera as the Canon R50. It's beginner-friendly and very easy to use, but it has a slightly bigger grip and a joystick on the back for controlling your focus points, but also navigating the menus. The only downside of the Canon R10 is the kit lens that it comes with. It has a slow aperture, but it's also not the best quality. I recommend most people buy the Canon RF STM lenses for their Canon R10. You'll get better image quality, a faster aperture, but those lenses are much better suited for a powerful camera like the Canon R10. If you really want to get serious about your YouTube, you don't want to cut any corners, and you want the best of the best quality, the Canon R10 is without a doubt the best camera to get. If you guys want to check out the Canon R10 or any of the cameras we talked about on this list, make sure to check out the links in the description down below for the best pricing, and I'll see you in the next video.